All right, man. So if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
What's up with it? I'm Danny D. Daniel at Danny D of Wild. Danny D on Twitter, of course. So I'm kind of taking the moniker around with it. So basically, I found my niche within the digital marketing and media monetization space, especially as it pertains to what we're doing here in entertainment and music. Like everybody knows, our industry has been fundamentally disrupted for the last 15 years, you know, with the advent of file sharing and things like that. So the models are all in flux, and for the most part, music hasn't responded in the best possible manner. So I actually had a different life. I was in radio, so I had my connections and sort of the insight from the industry on how labels work, A&R, BDS, Nielsen's, and all that through that radio experience. And I was also able, since I did street team work and DJ'd, I learned curation, how to read crowds, and then I started going with like really guerrilla street team tactics with, you know, putting up snipes, handing out stickers and CDs, going to the events and stuff like that. So I have that pedigree in me, and I've seen that now with digital, you can apply some of those tactics, but the biggest problem that people are running into is that they're just trying to do old world things in this new paradigm where they don't necessarily translate.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm 29 years old, so the internet in a big way happened for me post 1997 when AOL was really spamming our inboxes, our physical inboxes with CDs.
Yes.
So you know, that hit me like in 7th grade, and then the stigma around it at the time was still like, yo, that's something that's not really, you're not, what are you doing if you're not in a chat room, or if you're not, you know, maybe downloading things. Like, it's kind of it had a dorkier connotation at the time. But you know, I was into video games and stuff like that, so I was always lightweight into it. And then being I'm from the Northern California area, one city below Oakland, it's called Hayward, California. Born in San Leandro, raised in Hayward. And since we're in Silicon Valley, I think that we were more apt to learning, and we had the computer rooms and stuff at pretty much every campus. So, you know, I was fortunate to be in that situation. And then anyway, I parlayed all that and that hunger into, I mean, the same way I'm wearing this lanyard for this conference. When I was at Clear Channel, I had the Clear Channel lanyard, and I started getting into Oracle conferences and Microsoft conferences, and going to Google Campus and things like that. So then I started listening to the panels they had, where there was people there that don't look like us. And then listening and picking up on the keywords that they're talking about. This is like 2004, 2005 time frame, and I reported back to the program director at the station, and he's like, hey man, you're young, you got energy, go out there, figure out how we can play with them, and then bring them back here and we'll see what we can do. So I mean, that led me to meeting everybody from Jack Dorsey, who's one of the co-founders of Twitter, to meeting Michael Arrington from TechCrunch, to meeting everyone from, at the time, the biggest streaming site was iMeet. They ended up getting bought, swallowed, and all that stuff. But I mean, I met all the YouTube guys early, like all these. I was just really fortunate to have come in at a time when the Web 2.0 movement, the social web context of it, started to take off. And I seen that music and urban especially, but even traditional terrestrial media, whether it's television, newspaper, direct mail, and advertising, they had a super negative reaction to it, and they wanted to kind of keep, because it's scary to them, because they had no real back context to it. So I just seen how they were going away from it. Now that gave me my inner rebel to be like, whoa, there's something there. You know what I mean? So then I started kind of taking the deep dive, and I've been doing that ever since. For the past 8 years or so, I've been trying to make sense of the world.
And do you think that within the music industry there was anything that was made it slower to evolve than maybe in other industries?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we've seen what happened with, you know, it's even, this is old, so who knows if half of us even still remember it, but it was called DRM, Digital Rights Management. What they were doing was that, you know, if you had the CD, it was encrypted, and then you couldn't burn it, or you couldn't rip it. You know what I mean? So they were doing things like that, and they still try to do things like that with books, of all things. You know, like the Nook doesn't play well with anything inside the Amazon ecosystem and things like that, because it's a land grab to them, and they're trying to hold on as long as they can to their old, basically, they're like farmers. You know what I mean? They're trying to hold on to their wealth. You know, they're running steel mills of all these physical things, and that's kind of, they're just trying to make sure that their companies don't dwindle all the way down, I guess.
Okay.